Hello everyone, I trust you guys okay. This video actually is a follow-up to an email that I sent the group sometime last week, I believe it was. It was about using Teams as an alternative to virtual classroom. In our last Friday's social, some folks were still talking about having a template that most people can use. So I just want to share with you as well the format that I intend to use. If anyone finds it useful, they certainly can use that. So before I get into talking about running your live lecture through either virtual classroom, Teams, or Zoom, let me just share with you the sort of format or structure that I plan on using. But I pretty much have already there with my online classes, and I will just sort of augment it just to make sure that it's consistent with what you see in front of you. So here's how I intend to arrange the content, which is by week. Since we teach on a weekly basis, it just makes sense naturally to flow week by week. And then in each week, if we are teaching on Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, sort of a cycle, that in each week we would have 2 lectures per class, or per section, sorry. If you're teaching a 3-hour class, then that's another matter. So in one given week, what I like to do is to treat the 2 classes, which is like the Monday, Wednesday, or the Tuesday, Thursday, as 2 sub-modules. All right? And so Brightspace will allow you to set up to set up sub-modules within a module. So then the overarching module is the week. And so I would have 13 of those or 12 of those, depending on how many weeks we have in the semester. And then within a particular week, I will then set up sub-modules, all right? Where I would have 2 sub-modules. One would be for the Monday and the other one for the Wednesday. If it's a Monday-Wednesday cycle. One would be for Tuesday or Thursday, and the other one for Thursday. It is a Tuesday-Thursday cycle. So here's my sample right here, week 1. Let's say, for example, it's from September 5th to the 9th, Monday, Wednesday. Then submodule, I'll create a submodule 1.1, the first one representing week 1, and then the second one representing the first submodule. I see an error there. The second submodule should have been 1.2. And so that would be like for the Wednesday class. And then if you have multiple sections running on your same day or whatever it is, in my case, I tend to have 2 sections on Monday, 2 sections on Wednesday. So you may very well want to create different live classrooms for the different sections. So let's just see how I set it up. So let's just look at week 1, Monday. And so what I would have is an introduction to whatever that lecture is. So say this lecture happens to be data and data types. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I could either have a paragraph that sort of just describes that and talk about the learning objectives and expectations in that introduction. But I like the idea of creating a short video. So I might just create about a 3 to 5 minute video that says, in this particular lecture, you can expect to learn the following and so on. Here's why this particular topic is important. And so the expectations of you are the following and so forth, all right? It doesn't have to be exactly in this order, but the next thing I would do is I'd put my PowerPoint slides for those that want to actually learn through the PowerPoints. And so I give them an option between the PowerPoints and the lecture videos. I would then have the lecture videos where I would try to emphasize more a demonstration of how to solve the particular problems I was working with. So yes, do some of the theory. Rely on the students to also go through the PowerPoints, and then spend a bit more time in terms of demonstrating how to solve the problems in the video lecture. After they've done that, I provide a short self-test. So it could just be 3 or 4 multiple choice questions that we'll just check to see if they have some basic understanding of the concepts that were talked about in the lecture. And then the actual live classroom, meaning meeting the students online face-to-face. If it is an asynchronous course, then I don't need to have that in there. But if it is a synchronous course, then I need to schedule live classroom. So In my case, I think I will have two sections on a Monday, Wednesday. So because the times are different, if you're going to run them as synchronous classes, then I have to schedule a lecture at 10 o'clock in the morning and one at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So to be live classroom section A, live classroom section B. All right? And then for the Wednesday part of that cycle, the same format, which is the introduction to whatever that lecture is. So you could see I call it measures of central tendency, and that's on the Wednesday. The introduction could be text or video, learning objectives and expectations. And the PowerPoint notes for that, the video lecture, self-test, and then the actual live classroom sessions that the students would come to. And then for that week, if we have a practice quiz for that week, you could put that in the third submodule, which you could call assignment and practice. And then you could have a practice quiz, you could have the actual assignment, you could actually put the drop box that you want the students to drop the materials in there if that's how you want to collect it, or if your assignments are actually going to be quizzes, then certainly you could set that up. So that's my basic structure. And if I continue, here we go. So now we see, I repeat the same thing for week 2, but I carried over the error, which is that my second submodule should have been 2.2 and not 2.1. All right. And of course, I need to change the titles of the actual modules themselves. But you just keep repeating that. Week 3, you would have your submodule 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3, and make as many submodules as you need. All right. So I'm just sharing this with you as my basic layout, and that's what I intend to use. And that is sort of consistent with how I've sort of done MSc 2207. And so now let's go into BrightSpace and take a look at how we could set up for the live lectures. All right. So we're heading in there, and I'm actually going to go into my sandbox course. I believe that's it, but let me just verify that that's what I'm in. There we go. I've sort of erased all of the sort of draft content that I had in there, kind of starting from scratch. So of course we want to add some content to the course. If you have a course already that's in BrightSpace, you could roll it over and then do the modifications and adaptations and so forth, so that's fine. But I'm going to actually just start here. So in terms of my modules, so I'll just add sort of a week 1, week 2 would be the next one, and then another one week 3, just cool. And so now that I know what structure that I'm looking for, all I have to do now is to just go and sort of create the submodules. So here I would be my submodule, which is what did I call it? Submodule. That would be my Monday, Wednesday class, if that's my Monday, Wednesday class. So I could call it submodule 1.1, right? Monday. And then give it a title of whatever the lecture is, right? So introduction to data types. And then that's the first one. I could add a second submodule. So module 1.2, and that would be now my Wednesday class. So Wednesday. If you want to actually put the date, you could actually, instead of naming it submodule 1.2, you could actually put the Monday and the Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday. So I don't really need to put it that way, but it's up to you, right? So Wednesday, and then I would simply call it, say for example, descriptive statistics. All right, so that's my second module. And then as I mentioned, I'm going to make my third one, which is practice and assignments, right? Practice and assignment. Practice in here, and that's it. So there we go. With my modules created, like I said, I don't have to put the 1.1 and the 1.2. But if I go back to my PowerPoint, what did I show? I had it as submodule, yes, and then the title. So I could just basically put the day instead: Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, week 1. All right, and that might make more sense for some people. So I could go back and edit this if I want to, and just sort of make the changes. But for now, I'll leave it as is. Now, what am I going to put in there as my different activities under each of the submodules? And if we go back to my PowerPoint, you will see that I wanted to put an introduction, PowerPoint notes, video lecture, self-test, and the self-test would be a quiz. So you'd have to create those quizzes, and then the live classrooms. All right. So I just want to show you something that I think is cool if you want to, give your stuff a little pizzazz. So for week 1, you could add dates and restrictions if you want to on that particular week, but I don't think most of us would want to do that necessarily. And we could just sort of add a description in terms of what week 1 is about. One of the things I'm going to do to kind of make, create a little bit of a cool factor is I'm actually going to add a picture. So I'm going to go to here. I'm going to give you something cool to look at. So I'm adding a picture. I'm going to say add, and I'm going to say that this image is decorative. And here we go. Just say create a new file, and look at this. Update it. Voila! I have a nice little picture to start my page. And this is the beautiful Pitons in St. Lucia. It's a World Heritage Site now, and there's a volcano, a driving volcano right behind those mountains. I'm doing a little tourism plug there for St. Lucia, of course. And it's just beautiful down there. So here we go. I just have a nice little image to kind of just warm the students' hearts. And then, of course, let's start adding the various activities. So now if I wanted to add a video introduction, I would sort of add an activity. And that could be a new video or audio or a link. In my case, I like to create my videos as, if they're small enough, and then that means that the file size is small, you could just simply add the video. You could go video, audio, and then you could upload a video and browse your computer for a short video to add there. That would be your introduction. And I believe I actually do have some like that if I could find it on my computer. But I don't want to spend too much time on that aspect. I'm just showing you that these are some things that we can do. All right. I'll have to go search for. I did actually create 13 introductory videos for my web course from last semester, and they're somewhere in a folder. Okay, so we'll cancel that. So that would be like my video introduction. Next thing, of course, is that if I want to now add files, which would be like a PowerPoint slides. If I wanted to add that, then in that case, I would just upload files, and that would just be my PowerPoints, right? We could certainly do that. If I go back to here, so that's PowerPoints, the introduction. And then if I have a full, complete video lecture, we're not getting into how we're actually making the video lectures right now, then in that case, I would simply upload them. But I like to actually create the videos, put them on YouTube, let YouTube do the storage for me, and do the compression, and then just simply put a URL. So it would be, in this case, create a link, all right? And that link would be the name of the video, which so to be, for example, introduction to data type. And then this would be a YouTube URL right here, whatever that is. And then the other thing is you could actually have them view inside of Brightspace or open a new browser window. In some cases, you might find that some of the videos do not open very well inside of Brightspace, and you have to sort of just click open as an external resource, right? And that tends to work okay. So that's the video. And then if we go to back to my template, a self-test. So the self-test in that case, typically what I do is just add about 3 or 4 quick multiple choice questions that would allow the students to say, okay, I've watched this video, I've read through the PowerPoint notes, let me see if I understand some of this material, and then about 3 or 4 either multiple choice questions, or you could have written answers or whatever you want to test them on. You certainly can do that. All right.